Here's your wrestling news for April 11th, 2021. And if you like what you're watching, smash that like button and give us 1,000 likes or more. And your headlines for this WrestleMania Sunday include: Thunderstorms cause havoc for WWE, fans evacuated, and WrestleMania postponed. Huge botch happens during WrestleMania Night 1 main event. Former WWE superstars blast lack of Mexican talent at WrestleMania. Wardrobe malfunction and entrance botches plague WWE's biggest show. Who will be the next challenger for the Universal title after WrestleMania? Huge update on Samoa Joe. Is the former champion returning to WWE? Tickets still on sale for WrestleMania for shocking low prices. Does anybody give a f? Wrestling legend trashes AEW's relationship with Impact Wrestling. First trailer released for WWE 2K22. How will it be different? And more. We are kicking off with Night 1 of WrestleMania, as after over a year without live fans, WWE quickly learned the perils of running an attended show outdoors. Mere hours before the show, the Raymond James Stadium in Tampa was battered by a hurricane, thunderstorms, and on the PA system, fans and the staff were told they need to evacuate the venue and seek shelter. This evacuation didn't last long, as fans were later allowed back into the venue, but this storm only added to WWE's list of things to do mere minutes before WrestleMania started. That's according to Fightful Select, who reported, "After the weather ripped down some of the WrestleMania set, we're told that men in hard hats were sent up to fix flags that were on top of the set's ship and anything else that needs adjusted." Though WrestleMania did start on time with an opening by Vince McMahon, the show was immediately delayed, with the show instead opening with a series of interviews and backstage segments. It was over a half an hour later that WrestleMania finally had the opener, where WWE Champion Bobby Lashley defeated Drew McIntyre. And with thunderstorms forecasted for Night 2 as well, this may not be the only time the show of shows gets delayed. Night 1 started with an awkward beginning, so it was only fitting that it ended with one too. In the final moments of the main event between Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair, the EST pinned Banks to win the SmackDown Women's title, bringing the Boss's WrestleMania record to 0-6, but not according to Michael Cole. Even though the bell rang, Cole said that Banks had kicked out in an awkward finish to Night 1 of WrestleMania. Hopefully WWE can avoid a similar mistake on tonight's show, as this only took away from Belair's historic title win. One person who watched Night 1 of WrestleMania very closely is Andrade, and the former WWE superstar isn't pleased with this year's two-night event. On Twitter, the former NXT champion blasted WWE for this year's WrestleMania, pointing out that no Mexican wrestlers made either Night 1 or Night 2. For reference, WWE has 6 Mexican or Mexican-American superstars on their main roster: Angel Garza, Dominic Mysterio, Gran Metalik, Humberto Carrillo, Kalisto, and Rey Mysterio, all of whom were used on SmackDown instead. This year's show is WWE's first WrestleMania since 2018 to not feature a Mexican-American superstar, a statistic Andrade isn't happy with. At the very start of WrestleMania, WWE Chairman Vince McMahon welcomed fans back after over a year away, but that didn't apply to everyone inside Raymond James Stadium. During Night 1, GCW's Jimmy Lloyd was spotted in the crowd wearing a GCW shirt following the promotion's The Collective show earlier that day. That didn't sit well with WWE, as later in the show, Lloyd was spotted wearing a Hurt Business shirt. On Twitter, Joey Janela called WWE out, saying that the company had done something Lloyd's mother couldn't: make him change his shirt. WWE has made fans change their shirts in the past if they featured logos from other companies, and WrestleMania was no exception. With WrestleMania 37 Night 1 in the history books, all attention turns to Night 2, which has had a new title match confirmed for the show. During Night 1, the women's tag team turmoil match saw Mandy Rose slip on the ramp, Dana Brooke suffer a wardrobe malfunction, and the announcer mistakenly say the Riot Squad were eliminated when they weren't, but when the dust was settled, Tamina and Natalya emerged victorious. That means that the multi-generation stars will challenge Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax tonight, with the women's tag team titles on the line. History was also made last night as AJ Styles became the latest WWE Grand Slam champion. Winning the Raw Tag Team titles with Omos, Styles has now been a WWE Intercontinental, US, and Tag Champion in WWE, an impressive feat for the man who joined just over 5 years ago. Bad Bunny was also highly impressive as he delivered in his debut match. Teaming with Damian Priest, the pair toppled The Miz and John Morrison in what's being considered one of the best celebrity matches in WWE history. Now, tonight's show will see Universal Champion Roman Reigns defend his title against both Edge and Daniel Bryan, but the Tribal Chief may be eyeing up his next opponent. That's according to his special counsel Paul Heyman, who spoke on Talking Smack and argued that if Reigns retains tonight, then his next opponent will be one of the winners from Night 1 of WrestleMania. You want me to talk about the King of Swing himself, Cesaro, and the visionary Seth Rollins? The winner of the match will then be in line for, perhaps, a title match against the Universal Heavyweight Champion, the winner of the main event at WrestleMania tomorrow night, Roman Reigns. Given that Cesaro won that match against Rollins, it seems that Heyman plans on the Swiss Cyborg being Reigns' next opponent for the Tribal Chief, though that all hinges on the Universal Champion retaining his title tonight. WrestleMania 37 is WWE's first show in over a year with live fans, but that doesn't exactly mean tickets have flown out. According to StubHub, there's plenty of tickets left for Night 2, with a 2-night combo for both nights going as low as $35. If you're in the Tampa area and don't want to break the bank, you can still get tickets for Night 2, though WWE are probably just happy to have any fans back. Over to Raw now, as after WrestleMania, the Red Brand's announce team is undergoing a major change. According to the latest reports, the new commentary team going forward will be Corey Graves, Byron Saxton, and Adnan Virk, the latter of whom auditioned before a Raw taping on February 5th and will be replacing Tom Phillips. Before joining WWE, Virk worked at ESPN for years, and WWE isn't concerned that ESPN fired Virk for allegedly leaking information to the press. This new lineup leaves Samoa Joe off the announce team, fueling speculation that he's finally been cleared for an in-ring return. Joe hasn't competed since he suffered an injury during the infamous Must Be Monday commercial in February 2020, and time will tell if Joe is finally able to wrestle again. Speaking of in-ring returns, it's been over 2 years since Nikki Bella's last match in WWE, as the Hall of Famer's neck injuries forced her to retire prematurely. Since then, the longest-reigning Divas champion has said that she plans on returning, but that optimism isn't shared backstage. Fightful Select reports that the common belief is that Nikki is nowhere close to being cleared for a return, and that WWE are far more cautious about her neck than she is. We've seen wrestlers like Daniel Bryan and Edge return from career-ending neck injuries, and whilst Nikki Bella believes she'll be next on that list, that return may still be a very long way away. In the past, WWE has used the post-WrestleMania period to shake up the rosters, and whilst the last WWE draft was last October, there's been speculation on another shakeup on the way. When Ringside News asked about another superstar shakeup, though, they were told there's no plans for any shakeup anytime soon. Of course, we can't rule out the possibility of a superstar randomly jumping brands like King Corbin did just a few weeks ago as part of Bobby Lashley's feud with Drew McIntyre. We also can't count out Vince McMahon changing his mind at a moment's notice, but for now, don't expect Braun Strowman, hot off his Mania victory over Shane McMahon, jumping to SmackDown. AEW news next, and ever since Kenny Omega became world champion, the All Elite promotion has worked closely with Impact Wrestling, with several stars appearing on both shows. Whilst many fans have been thrilled to see this kind of crossover, especially given WWE's history of working alone, one person who isn't a fan is Eric Bischoff. Inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame earlier this week, Bischoff spoke about AEW's working relationship with Impact and didn't mince his words. "I'm sorry, does anybody give a f***? I don't. And if you look at the ratings for Impact and you look at the ratings for AEW, I stand by what I said. Nobody gives a f***. It hasn't changed anything." We'll have to see if AEW's ratings change significantly now that they're no longer competing against WWE NXT on Wednesday nights, but for now, Eric Bischoff isn't impressed by what he's seen. Back to WWE, and after the dismal failures of WWE 2K20, which remains a buggy, glitchy mess, WWE are returning with their brand new game. During WrestleMania, a teaser aired for WWE 2K22, the latest in the 2K series, and it was promised that the new game will, quote, hit different. Though fans did get WWE 2K Battlegrounds last September, that wasn't anything like a traditional wrestling game, and fans are hoping that 2K have learned their lesson in the past 2 years and that 2K22 will be a much better outing. And we're ending today with WWE, who have crowned their first ever superfan. In a tweet, Triple H and Stephanie McMahon crowned longtime fan Vladimir Abuzide as the first official superfan, and confirmed that Vlad will have a documentary made about him that'll air this summer. This doc will detail Vladimir's years of intense support for WWE, and it'll make for an interesting watch later this year when it drops on Peacock and the WWE Network. Well guys, that's our news for today. Please share your comments below. Also hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon to receive all notifications. And as always, thanks for watching.